Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of a different video. I'm going to try to keep it short, but I imagined this channel being more than just uh, astrology and tarot. That's part of why I just kept it as Madame Thanatos. Because there's a lot of, I'm kind of a Jane of all trades. So I figured it'd just be a good place to put things that might help others that are on the path a little before me. In any case, what I wanted to talk about actually is something that I learned, that I've been learning over the last, I want to say, couple of years, especially in couples counseling about codependence. And not necessarily, like, I mean, yes, codependence is often linked up with being with a partner who has addictions or is an alcoholic, but codependency is also kind of its own personality disorder because you don't have to have the presence of drugs or alcohol to have a codependent relationship. And there's something that even I'm still not exactly sure how to define it, but I read something once that really hit home, in that, like, oftentimes somebody who is codependent confuses the difference between love and pity. And it really, I mean, I've had a number of times when I've been the codependent. I've been the caretaker role, with kind of a savior's complex, like, and it was definitely like sitting in that energy and thinking about, like, where am I confusing that I'm pitying people versus where do I really love people? Whether it's friend or my walks beside or something else. And I think one of the major differences, like, say, healthy interdependence, you don't betray yourself. Like, you don't say, well, my feelings matter less, so I'll just enable them to keep doing what they're going to do. Like, that is codependence. And in interdependence, you don't say, oh, well, they have an injury or they've had a hard past or this and that, and so it's okay that they hurt me. Like, you still stand your ground. You still, like, sure, as a compassionate person, you might, there's going to be plenty of times when you put yourself, not last, but you put your needs backseat a little bit. That's healthy. But when you are consistently putting your needs in the backseat, it ends up being that what feels like loving someone else is actually enabling them to continue doing what they're doing, which is hurting them usually. Like, it's one thing if, like, if you have a partner who is trying very hard to, like, start a business, and you're willing to put in extra money to help support them, or you're willing to say, it's okay, I don't need, like, I do feel a need for affection, but I see that you're growing something. I see that you're working on something you're passionate about. And if you're seeing them succeed, yeah, okay, sure, like, put your needs backseat a little bit first. That's okay. Like, that's healthy. As long as that's not all the time. I mean, if they're always working and you're not getting the affection or attention that you need to have your cup refilled, then that's not okay. It doesn't matter if they are successful or not, because then you're feeding into workaholicism, which is just as much an addiction as anything else. But there's plenty of times when I've had friends or loved ones or others that, like, I would know about their past, because I'm definitely, if you make it as a Capricorn, I can't say it, like, it's not hard to make it on my friends list, but if I'm really asking about you and I'm really, tell me more about your past, or tell me how did that feel, or how hard was that, or what got you through that, like, I genuinely want to know you. It's probably part of my Scorpio Mars too, because I like to know people deeply. And I've been told in the past that I'm a good question asker. In any case, I like knowing somebody that deeply and dealing with my own caretaker nature when a friend or a loved one gets into a situation to where they hurt me. or they're hurting others, it can be all too easy to try to lean into compassion, which is good at first. Like, that's what I think a good person does, is you lean into compassion first. You step back and say, okay, what is it that I want in this moment? A little extra affection? Okay. Is a little more attention? Okay, sure. I can put those back seat a little bit, and say their needs can come first. But if it starts affecting, like, the bills, if it starts affecting health, if it starts affecting the kids, if it starts affecting the friendship, the relationship, any of that stuff, then at that point, like, everybody deserves a break sometimes. But if you're constantly saying, well, we don't need to hold them accountable because they went through so much growing up, or their exes did so much to them, or they had a hard childhood, then we're effectively enabling them to stay in a victim mode, which, yeah, everybody needs to be able to feel how they feel, but if that's so consistent that they're not, like, if it's always consistent, then they're not going to see a need for coming out of it. And as the loved one of them, it may be hard, but the best thing we can often do for them is to not enable them. And that's hard, especially if you're a very compassionate person, or if you're an empath, or you're just generally somebody that, like, if you're a tougher person, you don't mind not having all of your needs met consistently. Like, you're not so needy that you're like, I need me right now. Like, or even if you had hardness growing up, to where you were having to play the adult role or not getting your needs met all the time, it can seem easy to just feel like that's a what do you call it? I don't want to say a comfortable thing, but it's a known thing. It's like the devil you know. And the only way to really come out of that is to actually put yourself first, which is something I'm definitely working on. I'm going to do more videos about how to do that. Because when you're coming from being a caretaker role, it's not easy. And the people that you really care about that really do need help and need you to be the strong one, and not enable them, are going to throw fits. They're going to make messes. They're going to burn everything down for a while, until they really learn to stand on their own 2 feet. And that's not an easy thing to watch or sit in, but really the best thing that we can do, one, is let them, because otherwise we get the blame of like trying to prevent them from doing it. And 2 is to recognize that in caring for ourselves in healthy ways, not going to a narcissistic point, but going to a healthy self-care point, we actually give them the example that they can model that they didn't get. And if you really love somebody, and you're not confusing the difference between love and pity, then that is how you help somebody. That is how you help them. You show them the example of being, like, loving, kind, reassuring, and working on yourself in healthy ways. Anyways, I'm getting up to the 10-minute mark, and videos don't tend to stay longer than that. So let me know if anyone has any specific questions about this. I'm going to add more, maybe make a little bit of a series out of this, as the inspiration comes. So yeah, I'll see you next time.